We're here at the IAS meeting. We're here with Zakeria Yacoob, who's the retired judge of the courts here in South Africa. And we appreciate you taking the time. I know you did a social justice program the other night, and we're talking about this today. It was about the Cipla and other Indian manufactured drugs. And can you tell us a little bit about that, what you take away from that?
What I take away from there is that obviously there is an attempt to silence those lawyers in India who are responsible for ensuring that the government is held to account when it tries to cooperate too much with other countries and when it tries not to respect people's rights in relation to medicines and so on properly. Mm-hmm. So I take away from that the notion that this is a very important exercise. I think that all of us, particularly those in the United States of America, need to understand where the world is going to and make a contribution towards making the world a better place and a healthier place. Mm-hmm. And then as far as the conference the other night was concerned, I have called on the government and I would call on the world to decriminalize sex work, because I think that criminalizing of sex work is contrary to the dignity of human beings, contrary to the dignity of women, and it is their human right to do sex work if they wish to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that I think you capsulize it very nicely. But I think the challenges are that we have to fight and in every single country and municipality for this, because it's not something that can be accepted worldwide.
Yes, it's true.
It's like one incremental step at a time.
That's true, because the problem is that the rich and powerful in every society create a legend by which people operate. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the legend in South Africa before 1994 was that all African people were thoughtless, idiotic people. And that would have been the legend about African American people before 1960 in the United States. And this legend about sex work being immoral has been around us for thousands and thousands of years, put in there by men, by powerful people, by people who have interests to protect. And I agree with you that it will take a long time to change these things. But if we're able to change the legend about African Americans to the extent to which we have, and we've been able to change the legend about black African people in South Africa, this too should be possible, though it's a longer job.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that very much. Now, your mission here at the conference has been multifocal. Is there other areas that you're covering as well?
No. Those are the only areas which I've been looking at. Of course, I came to the opening. My focus rather is not on health provisioning. I think that an area which has been understated is the human rights of people with HIV and AIDS, the extent to which they are demoralized, the extent to which they feel vulnerable, the extent to which they feel not part of society, and the extent to which they are prevented from participating in the affairs of society. And as a blind person who has been a victim of precisely that from the sighted community, I feel for them. And I think that one of the problems in this conference is that there has not been enough emphasis on the human rights of people with HIV and AIDS, but rather on the fact of treatment. The recognition of the human rights of people with HIV and AIDS is integral to their well-being, and I think needs a great deal more emphasis.
Yeah, the first conferences we had were mostly about the science, and which there was precious little.
Yeah.
And now it's become, now that we have the drugs, we have to say, okay, now what are the impediments? And there are many.
Yeah.
And it depends upon what country is what it is that we have to deal with in those
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
All right, thank
you
very much. It was
Thank
good to talk to you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.